Today we're actually going to interview Earl Hunter, who spent some time at Sylvan Sport making some really cool RVs and camping trailers, and he got really, I don't know if his entry point into camping was Sylvan Sport, but he is all in now.
Yeah, it totally was. You know, he is a newbie like so many people are right now. They're new to the RV industry and just trying to figure it out.
Well, can we say he was a newbie? Because that was, 3 years?
Oh, yeah.
4 years?
Yeah,
but
maybe more than that. I don't know. Let's hope he tells us.
Yeah. But the thing is Earl Hunter, he's worked in some major roles in big businesses, and then he got into camping, but he realized that this community is so cool, so inclusive, but didn't fully represent him.
Well, it's missing something, and that's largely the Black community being out there and camping. So, Earl, I think what he's doing is amazing. He's digging down and asking those questions. Why aren't we seeing that more with RV companies, with the community, and just encouraging more of it?
Right.
So, I think it's awesome. I can't wait to talk to him about, how this started and where it's going.
So
I tell you what, if there was ever an idea and a project that needed promoting, they would be thrilled to have Earl Hunter, no matter what it was. He is such a fun person to talk to.
He's energetic.
He's always so positive.
He's passionate.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so impressive. I'm excited to chat with him and just hear how he's making his organization, which is Black Folks Camp 2. I mean, what's it all about? I really don't know.
Right. So we'll get into that.
Let's do it.
In the meantime, we would like you to also be aware of this episode's sponsor. This week it is Go Power, and they make all the things you could possibly need to keep your rig running off grid. If you need solar, if you need lithium ion, if you need inverters, if you need a control module, if you need a piece or a whole package, Go Power Solar is it's a one-stop shop, and all their stuff just works.
And if you don't understand it, it's really great to go to their website, because they have a whole lot of information there that will help you figure out what do you need to do what you want to do.
Like we said, they do solar kits, they do the lithium, but they also sell you the entire system, so you don't have to piece it together yourself. Mm-hmm. It just comes as one system, and it works.
And their batteries even carry a 10-year warranty. That is awesome.
Their solar panels, I think, carry a 25-year warranty.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
Check out Go Power at gpelectric.com. That's gpelectric.com for any part of your off-grid electrical needs.
All right, before we get into the call that we did with Earl, just a little groundwork here is that my background, I've been to lots of campsites through the years. I've camped with lots of groups, big and small, and I can say that the community is amazing, but I did not usually see very many Black people camping. And it's not that the campgrounds weren't available to them. It's just that there was some unspoken, barrier or notion that may have made them feel unwelcome.
Yeah. I don't know. I would hate to even pretend to be an expert on that or even to have a good opinion. But I bet you if we sat around a campfire and talked about it, people would have their notion of why just that camping, it used to be a middle class white thing to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm not afraid to say that, because I think that's true. Yeah, in the 50s and 60s, when everybody wanted, 2 cars and a house of their own, and there was the perfect family image. Camping was kind of the middle class thing to do.
Right.
Growing up, and it was very different for other people, other cultures. So I don't know. I think I just don't think we all have all the answers, and we don't have the perspective. So we need people like Earl to talk to us about that.
Right. And all the benefits that come from camping for people individually, for families, and for communities, and for groups. All those benefits I would love to have, everyone have access to.
Everyone participate. I have always said better conversations happen around a campfire when you're camping, families get to talk to each other more. You're not distracted by all the things at home. Everybody should have that. I think everybody in the world should have to camp a couple of times, especially if they're struggling. If they're struggling with family, if they're struggling with business, if something is hard in your life, get outdoors, put your feet on the ground. Yeah. We advocate that, in so many conversations and podcasts.
Right. And not even just adults, but also kids, preteens and teens. If you want to hear a kid think deep, talk to them when the stars are all out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And
amazing.
he doesn't have a cell phone in his hand.
Right.
That's always so helpful.
So how about let's end this banter and let's go ahead and get into the interview with Earl Hunter. Looks like he's coming. There he is.
Clint, how you doing, man?
Good morning, Earl.
Good morning.
Hi, Earl.
How you guys doing?
Doing fine. Can you see us?
I can see you guys. I'm at a hotel here in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana.
Not far from Louisville. So
what are you doing there?
Well, I was on my way back from Chicago, and then I'm actually. It's funny you say that because I'm driving through the same way I sold in goals. I'm going to those dealers to tell them what I'm doing and offering them the opportunity and to help us get it done.
Good.
Very good. Very good. Hey, this morning we have a chance to visit with Earl Hunter, and he's a part of this really cool organization. And it is Black Folks Camp 2, which I think is huge. It's timely, and I think that there's a lot we can learn from this conversation. So, PJ, Earl's a contact of yours from way back.
Well, you can always learn something from Earl. I'll tell you that for sure.
Yeah, he's a deep
You can
well.
always learn from Earl. But we met Earl when we were selling the Sylvan Goes because he was a huge part of that company's success. But we'll let him tell you about that. He has an amazing history that he doesn't like to talk about, so be sure to press.
So press on that.
Wait. But I also want to add, he also wrote a book that my 5-year-old makes me read to him every single night.
Nice.
Oh my goodness.
About bullies, and he loves it.
Well, I think we need to just jump in and talk to Earl.
So, Earl Hunter, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for having me. And PJ, you look amazing over there.
Oh, wow.
And not to say that the other folks don't. Now, I've seen you enough, and I've seen you get younger and younger every day. So,
listen, Earl is always in for the points. Thank you so much. I'll take it every time.
Right
every
on.
time.
Doing fantastic.
Good. Good. Well, let's just start with the meat of the matter.
Sure.
We're going to talk about your background in a minute. If we can get you. You don't like to back up sometimes, but if you would so graciously tell us that in a minute, but let's introduce your organization because right now you founded Black Folks Camp 2. How did that start?
Well, so Black Folks Camp 2 was started in October 10th, 2019. And the company was started on the stage I launched the company on the stage at the Outdoor Economy Conference in Asheville, North Carolina, where I was actually the master of ceremony there. And I basically sang to everyone and told them, I sang A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
A change is gonna come where more Black folks, and the key word is more Black folks will camp and enjoy the outdoors. But again, all that happened because, I took an amazing trip around the country with my son. It was a 3-month, 14,000-mile, 20-state, 49 campground trip.
That's amazing.
Over the summer. And during that trip, we camped the whole entire way. And I only saw one Black family camping in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And that young lady of the couple, her name was Kim, she actually encouraged me to do something to encourage more Black folks to go camping, since I had already stated to her that I was probably one, if not the only Black executive in the outdoor industry, on the RV industry. So that's kind of how I got started. And we've been on a roll. It's been amazing.
So it hasn't been a lifelong dream to start this organization. It just kind of came from your camping experiences?
Well, wasn't a lifelong dream because I hadn't camped before in my life until about 5 years ago. So I came into the industry as an executive at a company, which you know well is Sylvan Sport, where I actually sold in these cool pop-up campers. And before that, I tell everyone, I was a Louis Vuitton, Gucci wearing, sports car driving, wearing executive who closed deals and build companies and things of that nature. And so I figured, Sylvan Sport, with the product that they had, I could actually do the same thing with them as well that I've done with previous companies. And just so happened that this company was in the outdoor and camping industry, which I had no privy to. I knew nothing about camping. I didn't know how to get on a sleeping bag. I didn't know how to put up a tent, to be frank with you.
Right.
And so the dream came when traveling around the country and seeing all these things and talking to dealers and going to all the conferences where I'm pretty much the only black male or black person in these groups. And I said to myself, we have to change this because this does not look like America, right? This does not look like the America that I know. And I really wanted to make sure that someone within the industry could actually help improve the industry. So I left the industry to create Black Folks Camp 2 so that we can actually share and invite more Black folks to camp and enjoy the outdoor lifestyle.
Do you feel like your background of not having camped until your adult years is pretty common in the Black community?
It is. It's funny. I always have this storyline. Before I started when I started the company, we had a lot of opinions, right? I had opinions on why I didn't camp. I had opinions on why my friends didn't camp, particularly in the South. I had a lot of opinions. I had a lot of things that was told to me by my great grandmother, who told my grandmother, who told my mother, who told me not to go in the woods. And although those are facts, but there are still opinions around why Black folks didn't go out and camp. And so I wanted to debunk those opinions and get to the facts, because I speak in facts rather than opinions, because opinions can be argued and they can be crushed. Well, facts can't be. And so I set out on this amazing journey to get facts. And we did that in a way that the industry has not done that. And we did it in a way that a lot of folks hadn't done it because they didn't know how to do it. And so we did something amazing, and I can share that with you guys here shortly, what we did to get those facts.
Well, I mean, so what are some of the main takeaways? What did you learn? What did you find out that kind of dispels the untruths?
Well, one of the things is that, there is an event that happens in Charlotte, North Carolina every year. It happened for every year for 10 years. It's called CIAA. And within CIAA, it puts you in mind of March Madness, or puts you in mind of March Madness from historically Black colleges and universities, which is HBCUs. Okay. Well, at that particular time, there are over 250,000 Black folks that converge onto Charlotte, North Carolina, from 18 years old to 65 years old, from $12,000 a year in salary to $350,000 a year in salary. So I hired, and along with my staff, a group of folks, and we actually went to the streets and we started asking these questions on why Black folks haven't been camping or why you don't camp. Again, I knew why I didn't, but again, I wanted to quantify and qualify those answers. And so we went to the streets and we asked these folks, and the number one out of that survey, out of actually interviewing close to 1,000 to 2,200 folks, the number one reason why Black folks that we talked to had not really enjoyed the outdoors is because of generational fear. All right. The woods was not a safe place for Black folks, particularly in the South. There were lynchings, there were hangings, there were cross burning, and actually it was a place where Black folks was a passage for freedom. Right. And so when you were caught in those particular woods, it wasn't a good thing. And that was a place that we didn't want to be. And those are the things that our ancestors would tell us. Number two is that when you have that type of fear of something, you don't have the knowledge. You don't want to learn. You don't want to learn anything. So if you look at the way things are now in regards to camping, what probably had been thought of then was just tent camping. Right. We didn't, there were no amenities. We didn't think about, there were no restrooms. There were things that we weren't really privy to and we didn't like because we didn't know about it. right?
Yeah.
So the whole
Yeah.
issue of camping in RVs and camping in these beautiful RVs with restrooms, and you can pull to campgrounds, they had pools, they had resorts, all those things passed us by. Not only just that, mountain biking, anything in the outdoors, kayaking, canoeing, skiing, all those things passed us by. And then the third thing that we really, really uncovered was the industry never invited us. The industry never invited Black folks to really enjoy the lifestyle, whether it be with billboards or just really just asking for our money, to be frank with you.
Yeah.
And so we and I know that because I was in the industry, right? And I saw I saw some of the publications that would actually be at some of these conferences, and I would chuckle because I knew right then that the industry didn't know who we were. The industry didn't understand who we were. They didn't understand our buying power. They didn't understand our way to drive the business.
Yeah.
And so my job in that particular space was to get out and to help the industry with these things.
Yeah. So you had an anecdote last time I heard you on the phone. You had an anecdote about, the Black community does have resources to put towards this. And that because of other places that they put their resources.
Right. So, we Black folks, we make up 14% of the U.S. population. We spend $1.3 trillion, right, on products in the marketplace. Black folks spend over billions of dollars on sneakers and billions of dollars in cars, right? Mm-hmm. And we would spend the same amount of monies on cars or recreational vehicles if we knew how to purchase the recreational vehicles. Many of us don't know that we can finance these units. Many of us don't even know that we can actually put this unit behind the truck that we already have to actually pull these units. And so I always say this: Black folks don't need permission to go camping. We don't need permission to enjoy the outdoors. We don't need permission to do anything in the outdoors, but it sure feels good to be invited, particularly invited by the same folks who are selling products for the outdoors, mm-hmm. right?
Well, don't you think it's natural, though, that any group of people that maybe doesn't understand or doesn't feel confident in a certain area, they're not going to gravitate towards doing that? I mean, I remember I was pretty old when I went snow skiing, and I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what the etiquette is. I don't know what the protocol is. I don't know how this works. Mm-hmm. I don't know how any of this works. Mm-hmm. When women look at going camping, a lot of them say, I don't know. What if I get stuck? What if I can't back up? Right. They have these fears in their head of maybe there's things that they don't understand that they should understand.
Right.
Really, Earl, camping is pretty simple.
Yeah.
But
I agree with you.
But you have fears that sometimes aren't founded because you simply don't understand that you're just not a part of that. So you don't understand.
Right.
Is that kind of what you're talking about here?
Well, I have 6 sisters. So I understand the fears in that particular space in regards to women. And I always say this, there are a lot of groups out there. We talk about the Hispanic groups and that are really on the rise of camping. You have other groups out there. You have the Asians and you have the Indians who have been really in the Americas, who really have been not Native American, but Indians who come to our country, who've been here and who are natives to our country now. I tell everyone is that all those groups are amazing, and those are minority groups who are camping as well, because the outdoor industry is probably 90% white, okay, mm-hmm. rather across the board, right? And those other groups are actually coming in this space, and it's amazing. But the difference is between Black folks and those groups is that those groups were never told not to go in the woods. Black folks were told not to go in the woods. The parks were segregated against mm-hmm. us. It wasn't until 1964 where parks weren't segregated. And those are the things, those are stigma things, or things that are sitting there, they're in place, they're still in mindsets that have to be changed. Because there's no doubt, you're right, PJ, there's no doubt that anyone that has fears about anything, they will continue to have those fears unless they continue to learn about those things, right? And so that's why our company is in place. We want to start at the root of the problem and get to the root and then work our way to the next step.
Yeah.
Well, I would never dare to compare the struggles that women have with the struggles that maybe the Black communities had or other groups. I think all of that is way past my purview here. But I do think just the general idea of I guess I'm going to put it out there. It is so foreign to me that the Black community would be afraid of camping or still feel the stigmas that I know were out there in the 60s. So because I don't deal with it. I don't see that. So my hat's off to you, because the only way that all of us are going to get out there and camp, and we're going to get the Black folks in the community of RVing and camping and hiking and kayaking, where everybody should be. Every single person should enjoy that. And the way we're going to do that is just by promoting diversity.
Right, absolutely.
Hats off to you.
I need to really preference something about our company and who we are. We're not a group. We're not a club. We are a full-fledged company. And one of the things I like to preference about Black Folks Camp 2, we created Black Folks Camp 2 to encourage Black folks to enjoy camping in the outdoors. What we didn't create Black Folks Camp 2 to do is just to camp with just Black folks. Mm-hmm. We created Black Folks Camp 2 so we can camp and enjoy the outdoors with any and everyone.
That's where the 2 comes from.
Absolutely. We believe that the campfire in our logo is the portal to amazing conversation for it doesn't matter your race, your age, or your gender. Yeah. We believe once you get around that campfire, we're gonna have some amazing conversations, and those amazing conversations are gonna be about some of the things that we're going on socially in our country. And what we're gonna find is like-minded individuals are able to solve things better than people who are not like-minded. And if you're in a campground, if you're sitting around a fire, that means you are like-minded. Mm-hmm. And so you can have conversation with no walls. Right now, I'm sitting in a hotel having this conversation with you. Well, I have walls, right? And so I don't know what's going on next to me, right? But when you're in a campground, you are able to have this conversation. It makes it easy for people to come over. Hey, what you cooking over there? And that starts a conversation. Hey, what you drinking over there? It causes a conversation. So again, I believe that camping in the outdoors is the cure to a lot of the social unrest and things we have going on in our country, to be frank with you.
What's your pitch to the industry that's the eye opener? This is why you need some messaging and some invitations going out to the Black community.
Well, the Black community is not necessarily a very loyal customer, right? Mm-hmm. I tell everyone, Black folks kept Cadillac in business. Okay, I grew up in the bricks. I grew up in an area that was very dilapidated. I grew up in an area where people felt like a person like me should not make it out of that area. And it was only really 3 places for me. It was either prison, dead, or in that same neighborhood. And I found myself, I worked myself out of that particular neighborhood, but also I say this because that particular neighborhood where I live, we had a ton of cars. There are a ton of cars around. I mean, big, expensive cars. Mm-hmm. And so that being said, the money flow and the cash flow was actually in those neighborhoods because a lot of the folks that are in the neighborhood didn't know they could buy houses. They had no clue that they could buy and put their money and take it outside of a car and go buy a house. And once they figured that out, we began to move out of those particular areas and buy homes. It's the same thing in the RV industry. The RV industry allowed a company like us to come in and help them shape the message and share the message to the Black community of how, when, and where to buy RVs to enjoy the outdoors. Then they will see a market, and I believe it's a market of a $25 billion market that the industry is missing right now, mm-hmm. right? So we have created an amazing team. We have the data, and we also understand geographically that all Black folks, and this is very important, geographically, Black folks think differently, we spend our money differently, and we act differently. So there's not a cookie cutter type approach to this particular matter. And I see a lot of companies do that across the board, and they miss the mark when they do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. If you could give yourself one descriptive name, I mean, I can hear people listening to this saying, oh yeah, he's protesting, or he is leading a civil rights program or whatever. It sounds to me like that's not really descriptive of who you are. How would you describe yourself?
Well, Well, I always tell people I'm a pretty handsome fella, but I'm not very smart. Right?
I can verify this for the listeners.
But at the same time, though, if you just read our logo and you have an intelligence enough to know what the word "to" is, then you will understand what our company is all about. Black folks camp too. To means also, right? And so that means that what I'm saying is the truth. Right? Because black folks do camp. Black folks will camp and black folks have camp. What our job is to get more black folks into the outdoors based on the 3 reasons I told you that we do not camp. And so those individuals who think that our company is a militant company or a company of, we are a company of civil rights, but because we all should be of civil rights. We should all want everybody to be equal. We should all want everybody to have the same rights, whether they're black, white, green, or yellow, female or male. But what we really are, we are a company, a very good company, helping, promoting the outdoors to folks who have really never really enjoyed the outdoors. And if the industry was smart, which I think the industry is, they would help us promote such so that we can get more folks in the outdoors. We can get more folks driving RVs. We can get more folks enjoying the lands that we all pay for. Right? That's a very, very key statement. More folks enjoying those lands.
And that's exactly the word that I thought of when I was thinking of who you are. You are, in my mind, a promoter.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that is the reason that you have been successful at the companies that you've been involved with, is because you promote, and you promote with such passion that you can move the needle and at whatever you decide to put your efforts towards. So I think now's a good time. Can you tell us how did you get that way? You came from obviously a little bit of a disadvantaged neighborhood, and I may be oversimplifying that. I am certain. But how did you become the Earl that you are today?
Yeah, Earl, why are you who you are?
Yeah, why are you a promoter, which is what I think you are?
One of the things that I think, one of the terms that I do not like that I hear people say all the time is pull yourself by your bootstraps, right? The reason why I don't like that term is because I've had a lot of help, right? A lot of people have helped me become the Earl B. Hunter Jr. that I am today, right? The storyline is, I didn't learn to read properly until I was 13 years old, but I was a great athlete. And so what happens is when you're a great athlete, what tends to happen is that you have folks around you who want to push you to be a better athlete, right? Or everyone wants to tag onto that success.
But they don't necessarily want to teach you how to read, right?
Right, exactly. And not necessarily, but in this particular space, though, there was a person who actually wanted to not only just see me play football, but this individual wanted to see me excel and get out of the areas that I was living in because he felt like I was more than that, right? And so who that person was my mentor. His name was Marion Cooper Fuzzy Thompson, right? Mm-hmm. And if you talked about the book, I actually named my daughter after this man because the impact that he had on my life. And so what he did, he looked at me and he said, look, you are an awesome football player, but you're going to be a woulda, coulda, shoulda kid if you continue to go the way you're going. My job is to help you. And if I can help one of you or one kid that looks like you, you'll go out and help change the world. And frankly, that's pretty much what I'm doing, right? Yeah. And so the bottom line is that my mother is a strong woman. I really never met my father, but my mother instilled one thing in me. She instilled the fact that perseverance. I watched her do it. Even though we lived in the areas that we were in, she never complained about where she lived. She always thought about the fact that how she can get out of where she is and to push us to do more things in our space. The bottom line is this. There are a lot of folks that are from where I'm from that have the same issues I've had in regards to life. But I have a lot of empathy for those individuals because I watch a lot of people where I'm from, where I am, go through different things that I went through. And I need to preface this by saying this. Everyone listening to this podcast, even you three, we all have issues. We all have something going on in our lives. I believe in the power of perseverance. I believe in the power of passion. I always think the glass is half full. I always think a rainy day is just a day that is going to wet the soil so we can get more things to grow out of it, right? I've never been a negative individual. I try to stay positive. My management style is very easy to attain. I am a hugger and a shover, right? I do both of those things to get to where we need to get, right? And so if you can sum it all up, PJ, into for one word that Earl Hunter is, I am a winner. And that's as simple as that.
Well, we should all be proud enough to be able to say that about ourselves and about the people that we bring around us. Right so sometimes that's not politically correct either. But right. I think it is always warranted, particularly people like you who just always swing for the fences. I remember my coach telling me this, and I'll never forget this. He said to me, Earl, you have an opportunity to do something really special in your life. You have an opportunity to change your family's life. You have an opportunity to go on and be very successful, in not just in sports, but also in business. And you have to take that and run with it. It's yours to take, and you have the ability to do that. And so I didn't look down on anybody else because they didn't have that opportunity. On the way up, though, I was hoping just to pull folks right with me to drive this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what made you write a book? Lindsay mentioned that. And the first time I met you, in the first 10 minutes, you handed me this book because you knew I had a new grandson. Right. And I thought, man, what an egotistical, crazy guy I have here. But we had a lot of phone conversations. So I thought, okay, maybe I didn't size this guy up right. And I did not know until just before this interview, when Lindsay mentioned it, that is a huge part of her bedtime because of your book. And how did you end up writing a book? Well, so to start, I grew up in a tough neighborhood, and so defending yourself was one of the survival treatments that we really needed, that I needed to get done. My mom taught me that, you don't start the fight, but you finish it if somebody brings it to you. And my mom was a strategy. Lady. Yeah, she was tough. She was really tough, and but the messaging that my mom was giving me versus the messaging I was getting at school in regards to bullying was totally different, right? My mom would tell me to knuckle up. The school would say, don't do that. And so when the situation came into my own life where my son was battling a bit of bullying, I said, well, the best way for me to change this was not to go over and argue with the kid's father or to hate the kid that was transgression against my kid. I just needed to go in and actually probably write a book and share the message to everybody, right? And so I never forget, it was on a Sunday. I drove to Chick-fil-A. I sat in the parking lot because they were closed, and I pinned this book in the parking lot, and I named the book titled The Chronicles of Dylan and Fuzzy. Dylan is my son. Fuzzy is my daughter, and it's called the Bullying Edition. But the most important thing about books, the most important thing about publications, and the most important thing about sharing this book is that I had to look into my own life to where I was as a youngster, and I had to apologize to myself and also to a young lady that I actually verbally bullied when we were actually in school. And I dedicated this book to that young lady. As a matter of fact, inside the book, it says notes from the author. I wrote those notes to that young lady to not only just to apologize to her, but to apologize to her children and apologize to her family if I had done anything to harm her. And I thought that was important because when you're a child, when you're young, you don't know how you can affect someone as a youngster in regards to your words and what you say. Well, and a lot of folks grow up and we don't know these things. And so we have to, the person who penned Sticks and Stones May Break My Bones, but Words Will Never Hurt is absolutely wrong. Yeah. Right? Because that's not a true statement. I think that this book for me has been probably, it's been one of the most incredible things I've ever done in my life because it gives me an opportunity to share this book with folks. And like I've shared with you, PJ, and like I've shared with others and hopefully you read it, understand it, and it kind of gives you a bird's eye view of who I am and
and how I feel about that particular issue, which is bullying.
Well, like I said, we read it almost every night. My kid has a few favorite books, and that's one of them. And he's obsessed with the transition between being bullied and the kids, look sad and then they look angry, and then the transition from, and he always asks me, why are they smiling now? First they're angry and now they're smiling. Why are they smiling? And I said, because they made it better. And so getting to explain that to him every night, the transition of their faces from angry to happy is, I don't know. You created something really awesome.
Well, thank you. It's funny. If you look on the back of that book, the back of the book, the back of the book was supposed to be the cover, right? But when I look at the back of the book, I'm like, I don't want to portray the angry face on the front of a book, right? I want to portray the happy face,
right,
based on what the end may look like, right? And that's the same thing in this space of getting more black folks to go camping, right? I want to see, I want to be I don't want to necessarily be the face of getting black folks to go camping. That's not what we want. I want to be the face behind the message to get us to go camping. And I want that face to be happy, exciting, although I know that there are going to be some tough times. There are going to be some things that happen in campgrounds that may not be of what we're explaining, the harmony that we believe around the campfire. But at the end of the day, my job is not to think about the worst. My job is to think about the best.
Well, and putting the solution first instead of just putting, all the problems out there. You're putting the solution first, which is the happy face, which is the good thing that can happen.
Well, before black folks really started to indulge into camping, and before we really start to indulge into the outdoors, the outdoors in regards to national parks, they already, without many black folks there, they already have a problem with litter. Mm-hmm. They already have a problem with folks disrespecting the national parks. They already, campgrounds already have issues with folks not respecting one another in campgrounds. Right. They already have those things. And so what I want to do is prepare a group of folks to let them know, hey, these are the right things you do in the campgrounds. Mm-hmm. These are the things you do. These are the things you see that you might not want to do. These are the rules of campgrounds. These are what you have to do before you get there, so we can actually streamline some of the issues that campgrounds may be seeing now or maybe see in the future, because there's a different demographic starting to come to these campgrounds.
Well, I think with the change in people buying RVs right now, we're seeing a ton of newbies. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs that message, Earl. Absolutely. Everybody needs that.
Everybody needs that message. And if we can package that message in where everybody can get that message, we certainly should do that. As a matter of fact, PJ, I always say that the outdoor industry has said this for years, man, the outdoor industry is for everyone. Well, that's almost like saying, PJ, you open your front door at your house, and then everyone is supposed to come in, right? Yeah. Well, I always tell people, black folks don't need permission to go camping. We don't need permission to go camping. We don't need permission to go buy RVs. We don't need permission to go enjoy these national parks. We don't need permission to do anything in regards to some of the public things that are out there to do that everyone else is doing. But it sure feels good to be invited, and it feels good to be included. And that's how you win the hearts of folks. We're not in the business of twisting arms. We're in the business of twisting hearts.
Well, don't you think those marketers, they put people on the front who look like the people that they're trying to talk to? That's how that's what the world does. We recreate what we think will be similar to our buyers when we're advertising, when we're talking about it, when we're creating anything that actually promotes the outdoors. I was trying to think of a way to relate it to something other than black and white, because really that's the bottom of this. But if you have, when was the last time on the front of a RVing magazine you see a kid in a wheelchair? And does that mean that we don't want to promote that this can be a healthy thing for people with disabilities? No. But we tend to put out the largest population that's going to consume the product, and we want to make it look just like them.
And I agree with you. But here's the thing. I agree with you, and I think that's amazing. But here's the thing to that. Why is that group the largest group in the population? I think the group I think it's because the reason why the group is the largest group in the population is because the industry has, because of the three things that I named in the beginning.
Exactly.
And so I agree that the industry should have been using the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you spend 80% of your money with the folks who are buying your product, and 20% of the time with the folks who are necessarily not. That's where you spend your marketing dollars. But the bottom line is this: the only reason the industry is doing such because they don't know the buying power of Black folks. They don't know what Black folks can get done in the outdoors. They don't know how we can actually drive the industry for change in regards to our dollars, but also our ideas of how campers should look, feel, and operate. And so I agree that it's amazing that that some of the outdoor industry has put Black folks on covers. What I think is, when I look at that and my friends look at that, we look at it as you have to think about that regionally when you're thinking about Black folks. You just can't put one person on there and say, "Oh, we're now promoting the Black folks." You have to say, look, we have to be strategic when we do that. And I think the industry needs a strategic partner to help them do that. Black folks in California don't think like the Black folks in New York. Black folks in New York don't think about the South. The white folks
don't either, by the way.
That is a true statement. But
yeah, that's the point.
What we're doing, but the industry has already mastered how to market the white folks in the industry. I'm trying to teach them how to market to Black folks in the industry.
Well, right? And I think, in all fairness, my perspective in the safe space is that the RV industry, in and of itself, is there to build products and promote camping. There is a whole nother social level underneath this of training people up, giving them the tools to learn about the outdoors, to experience, to get out there, to become part of that community. That's not what the RV industry does. And whether they should or not, that's not really what they do. They sell products. So an organization like yours takes care of that second layer of education, invitation, building a diversified community. That's why I love the fact that I had the opportunity to meet you, know you, talk to you, and promote your company.
Absolutely. You know, I've heard a long time. This is why I started the company, guys. I've heard for so long, even when I brought the question up, I would sit in a lot of these meetings in Louisville, and I would hear all the speakers talk, and I would hear them talk about, about millennials and why the market is going to millennials and things of that nature. Right. And I said to myself many times, I almost wanted to stand up and just yell out, "What millennials are you talking about?" Because if you're talking about all millennials, have you polled Black millennials? Because I don't think you polled them, because based on us not being in quote unquote even the minority. The slight minority in the camping. I think that when I started this company, it's because I've heard so many marketers or folks in the outdoor industry say that, "Earl, we just don't know how to do that." Well, I didn't look at it as an issue. I looked at it as an opportunity.
Well,
if you don't know how to do it, I do.
That's
so why
right.
don't I create this company to help you do that? Now, if the excuse now is, "Earl, you created this company to help us navigate through these fields and show us how to do these things," and then they don't want to do that, then now we got a problem. And that's an issue to me, because now you're saying that you don't know, you don't show, and you don't want to know, right? I'm not saying you have to deal with Black folks can't too, but you have to find a way to get to that customer that you're not getting, or you don't really want to grow your industry.
Well, that's where you come in, and that's why your glass is always half full, because there is more opportunity out there, and there will be for both of our lifetimes.
Absolutely, it is.
I have one more question.
Lindsay has one more question.
I want to know.
I have so many.
I know. I am like, only one more.
No, I been wanting to ask this question. You said that you didn't start camping until about 5 years ago, so you obviously have really brought your kids along on that journey.
Oh yeah.
And I want to know, what differences you've seen in them since they get to grow up camping when you didn't, and how do you see them growing while camping?
That's a good question, Lindsay.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. So here's the thing. So where I live in an area that is surrounded by waterfalls and surrounded around beautiful national parks, state parks, and things of that nature. And if I had not gotten into the industry and enjoy the outdoor industry, I would, number one, I probably wouldn't know anything about those areas. Number one. Then that means my children probably wouldn't know about any of those areas. Well, after I took my son on that camping trip around the country, my daughter comes to me and say, Dad, when I'm 7 years old, I want to take a camping trip too. Right? Well, if I had not taken my son on, if I had not learned, and then I had not taken my son on this trip, then my daughter would not have come to me and say, hey, Dad, I want to take a camping trip like you took Dylan on around the country too, right? And so now we're breaking a generational chain here, right? We're just breaking it, done. So now my children can say to folks, when I was young, my daddy took me camping. So I love camping and I'm not fearful of camping. And now I can understand that, that like just sitting on the ground poses a problem for a lot of Black kids. I know that because we're in this and we're getting this data because of quote unquote, they're scared of the bugs, right? Or they haven't sat on the ground before. Well, I had to debunk that theory and say it's not the bugs, because if it was the bugs, you wouldn't enjoy outside cookouts and things of that nature, because those bugs are there as well.
So is it a sense of confidence you're seeing? Like,
yeah. Well, my children, my children know how to set up a camper, and they know how to set up a tent, they know how to get in their own sleeping bags, and they know how to set a fire. Well, most kids, Black kids, don't know how to put a fire, to set up a fire. It has nothing to do with inner city or in the country. I mean, it's something we didn't do.
Yeah, no exposure.
Yeah, have exposure, exactly. So my kids, they had that exposure. And not only that, my kids, but I like taking my children to campgrounds where we can test the theory that everyone belongs in campgrounds, everyone belongs in the outdoors. And when we sit around that campfire and we get those s'mores, and I just learned roars now that are made with Reese's, right?
I've heard,
Oh, I haven't heard about that. Whoa.
Yeah, when I'm with roars and making roars with my kid around the campfire, she's having conversations. Listen, we have cured some race relations right there as well. We have gotten kids together to be around other children who don't look like them, to have conversation like them, and then drive this all throughout their entire life.
Yeah.
And hopefully your kids can take those conversations back to their friends and say, I went camping, it was amazing. And then their friends can go, Dad, my friend Dylan went camping. Can we go camping? And like, boom.
Well, it's funny because I just started backpacking about 18 weeks ago. Like truly backpacking 22 miles of the Appalachian Trail. And I had never done that, ever. And I'm a big football playing guy, but I'm gonna be honest, I was a little afraid of that. I was like, man,
I'm still afraid of that. I'm a little freaked out.
Yeah, I'm like, so I'm not gonna be in an RV. I'm not gonna, because I was used to RVing. I'm not gonna have a camper. I'm not gonna do this.
Did you have a lot of people to talk to?
Well, on the trail?
Yes.
Well, I found those people because
I was going to say you can't go that long without talking.
I was the only Black person out there now for the most part now. So what happened was I was able to give my message to folks, and what I was really able to do around that time is to test the three theories, right? I removed some fear, I added some knowledge, and I was invited. And so I enjoy it now. I'm almost addicted to backpacking, to be frank with you, right? I love it. And
did you have some fears?
All my friends, I have friends now who that's all they want to do, go camping.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You got good friends.
You spread it.
There you go. We're going to drive it.
So did you have some fears through all of this in the past 5 years that you had to overcome yourself?
I did. I think it was probably some unknown fear because look, as an executive in different companies, I had people always say to me, all my colleagues, man, I'm going backpacking, I'm going hiking, I'm going skiing. I'd be like, nah, I'm not doing all that. I'm going to Cancun. I don't want to do all that, man. And because I was scared to go in the woods, I was scared of like I'm like, man, I don't know if I really want to do all that. I don't know if I really want to be subjected to that. And so given the opportunity to get into the industry, this is where I learned that I shouldn't be afraid of the outdoors because I was camping. I learned to camp. I did product knowledge. I got product knowledge in campgrounds. I was able to go to different events where I can see people that don't look like me but are in the industry, and knew then that those individuals were loving the same thing I wanted to love, which is the lifestyle and camping. And so I learned to love camping. And, you know, I'll be naive, and you guys will be too, if I think that every Black person is going to like camping, right?
Right.
But the bottom line is we have to introduce and we have to share that knowledge and then allow them to decide if they don't want to do it or not. That'd be like in any race or anything. And our job is to introduce that and to invite and to remove fear. That's it. And then if people take to that, great.
I think that's a great message for absolutely any human being out there.
Right on.
Just introduce it. Introduce it.
Invite, and remove fear.
There you go. There you go. You know what? I always have so much energy after talking with you. That is what you do best. You put that energy out there. You move it along. You are the most positive person I think I have ever met. And I thank you for spending time with us.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One is, how do our listeners connect and support? And then also you have a message probably for dealerships like us. How do dealerships connect and support? So two messages there.
That was good. That was a good question, because I wasn't going to let you guys get off of this call without doing that anyway.
No. We want this information.
You and I were thinking on the same page. I was just right when PJ giving me the sign off. I was just about to go.
Well, that was my last question, but then I forgot it because you got me all wound up with the last thing.
Well, I tell you, our company, it can be found via the web at blackfolkscamp2.com. That's Black Folks with the S. camp2too.com. We can be found the same way via social media, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest as well. And so the real message that I have for dealers, right? For dealers is, if you really truly do want a new customer in a new segment, allow us to help you. Allow us to help you across the board. Allow us to understand your demographics or your geographic area, understand where you are. And even if you don't have a number of Black folks or a major group of Black folks in your area, we can actually find the ones that you do have. We can actually share this knowledge to them, because at the end of the day, we want to be the company for them to go to our website to look to see other Black folks enjoying their lifestyle, so that then that will give them confidence to want to enjoy the lifestyle as well. We can help you. We can help dealers. We can help the manufacturers. As a matter of fact, it's not what we will do. It's not what we can do. It's what we will do and what we are doing right now. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So there are a lot of dealers out there that have come on board with us. And if you call them now, they'll tell you, man, I don't know what Earl and his team is doing, but we've seen an amazing increase, not in just Black customers coming to our lot, but knowing about their company that sent us to their lot, right? So I'm a data guy when it comes to that. I want to make sure we streamline the data and drive that, so dealers will know this is not a kumbaya. We don't need you to pat us on the back and hug us and say, "Hey, Earl, let's just help your company." This is an ROI. Let us help you make money, and also let us help you introduce a lifestyle to folks who never necessarily didn't know what the lifestyle was.
So we have a lot of listeners right now who aren't dealers, I expect. So how can a regular listener connect with you guys?
Well, they can go to our social media pages and things of that nature. A lot of those a lot of those listeners can what we really need those listeners to do to encourage us to go further and beyond, right? Yeah. They need to, we cannot do this and get everyone in the outdoors if everyone is not trying to get everyone in the outdoors, right? This is not a Black thing. This is not a white thing. This is not a yellow, green thing. This is an everybody thing, right? We want to see harmony around the campfire. Yeah. We sell cool gear. You can go to our website and buy our t-shirts, buy these cool hats. We get this question all the time. Most of our gear, and we get this for white folks all the time. Hey, we get these inboxes all the time. Hey, man, is it appropriate for me to wear your gear? And it says Black Folks Camp too. And you know what? And I said, most people would chuckle at that, but really, that's a real situation, right?
Yeah, sure. It's a legit question.
Because of where we are today, and here's what I say: absolutely, it's fine. Because the moment other folks see white folks wearing our gear and inviting. This is to me, wearing our gear is an invitation.
It creates conversation.
To come on out and enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah.
Because listen, we're going to have harmony around that campfire. I believe it and I know it. And so Black Folks Camp 2. blackfolkscamp2.com.
We're gonna link to your social media and your website and all that in our show notes too. So if you guys miss that link, just check out our show notes and it'll all be right there. So you can go support Earl and his company.
And I might add, I've been on your social media pages, and you have people who have joined up with your pages, and they are the full spectrum of colors.
Absolutely.
Already joined up.
I know. And here's the thing about our page. This is such a great thing about our page. So we have two. We have one that you have to join, but we only use that for data page. But we have another one, which is our open page. You don't need to join. Just hit like. Mm-hmm. That's all you have to do. Hit like
just
and
hit
follow
like
us.
and hang out.
And hang out, man. That's it.
Awesome. So, well, what a good conversation.
Well, I think we all should learn from the glass half full, although I don't think your glass is half full. I think it's full.
Yeah.
And you just change colors on that glass a little every now and then.
I know.
So it sounds great. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will think of 100 more questions, and so we'll invite you back again in the future.
I'll be down there as soon as you tell me it's okay to come on out and to check you out and hang out with you.
Boom.
Boom.
About that.
All right.
Balls in your court, PJ.
You know you're always invited, but we'll firm up those dates.
Sounds good, my dear. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you for your time.
I hope you guys have the greatest day of your life today, and I hope tomorrow is even better.
Mr. Earl
thank you so much.
Hunter, folks.
I know. Thank you for your time and your energy. We always enjoy it.
See you guys later. I appreciate it.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I think I have a lot to ponder after talking with Earl, and I'm okay with that. I think that my eyes were kind of open to the realities a little bit, maybe the mindset, maybe the notions that have kept the black folks out of the camping scene.
Yeah, I was surprised, weren't you? At some of the comments, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't feel like it was enough time, so some of the conversation felt like it was just barely skipping across the surface on some stuff. But that's okay, because that's how the conversation like this starts.
Well, I think pondering is a really good thing. However, I think action is even better. I think we've pondered long enough. I think we need to be a part of this community. I think we need to encourage it, and not just online on Facebook with Black People Camp 2, but
Black Folks Camp 2.
Black Folks Camp 2.
Well, think about it. We encourage everybody else
in our with people in our community in general. So yeah, pondering is good, but let's all be a part of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not but and.
Yeah, and I'd like to reiterate that is 100% Earl's message is that it's not a hey, let's just boost one community. He really wants to raise everybody and bring it in, because I mean, he just loves that talk about sitting around the campfire and everyone is welcome there and to be invited in.
I think when I learned how amazing it was when he literally discovered the idea of being outdoors. Mm-hmm. I mean, cool. Yeah.
As a
Why can't we
adult,
all do that? Why can't we all just experience outdoors? It seems pretty simple.
All right. Well, again, I'd like to direct your attention to Go Power. They not only will power your adventures, but they also power this podcast episode, this one that you're listening to right now.
Nice one.
And we are so grateful to them. So if you have any solar needs, any lithium needs, any
power
needs,
any Go Power, you know.
And I have it on good authority that we're going to be talking to Mark from Go Power on a podcast here soon.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Well, solar's a pretty hot topic, so I hope he's ready.
It's electrifying. That does it for me. Everyone else good?
I'm good.
All right. We'll see you next time for the next RV Small Talk podcast.
Bye.